Once again, thanks for joining us on the Bearcats Sports Network. It's time to wrap up our McKendree football season preview for 2018. Our final installment will focus on special teams as well as Coach Mike Babcock's overall outlook for the Bearcats this year. And Coach, special teams always an important element. Talk about three phases of the game: offense, defense, special teams. Special teams certainly came into play last year. You got a guy like Monty Wolke, who did a great job again as a punter, averaged 40 yards per punt, first Bearcat since the late Alex McMahon to do that. And then a kicker who really, you look at his numbers, 10 of 15 field goals, ties a freshman record for field goals, and Josh Lazaro. So a nice 1-2 punch on the special teams kicking game for McKendree.
Absolutely. It starts with our older guy in Monty Wolke, who's been back there now for close to 2 years. And he is really coming into his own. I know he was excited to kind of get back out there. I thought he had a solid year last year. I think, from him and the rest of the kicking core, it's going to be consistency. Can he consistently, have some great kicks with great hang time? I know he's got the leg to get it down there. He works his tail off, in order to get better. So very excited to see Monty continue on. Josh Lazaro, freshman. For what he did as a freshman, I think was very. We literally threw him into the fire that first game. It's time to go. He won it outright. Challenged him in the offseason to become more consistent, to get more height on the ball. Obviously, more leg drive, and I think that's what he's done. He's at a solid camp. He's been able to. Really kind of, even though we've brought in some other kickers to kind of push him a little bit, he's the guy. He's done a very, very nice job, and really excited for this weekend for him. A guy that is never on the board as far as all conference or this and that would be Caleb Shipley, and he is probably one of our top special teams guys because he is not only a fantastic snapper, but he does get down and can play well in space and have a chance to make some tackles down there on punt, which to have a long snapper to be able to do that is quite special. So definitely a fantastic job.
Yeah, Caleb Shipley got in a lot. He didn't have necessarily the tackle numbers, but he created havoc getting down the field and getting on that return guy, and that sometimes helps flip field position, but also getting back to Monty Wolke. You look at 61 or 62 punts last year. A third of those punts go inside the 20-yard line, the opponent's 20-yard line. So field position, a big part of football, and he certainly helped flip the field for you guys.
Absolutely. Anytime you have one particular play that switches 40 yards of field position, that's why special teams is so important. So having guys like Monty and Josh and even our return guys, I think is a very solid part of our team.
You alluded to the return guys. McKendree loses a dual threat in Derek Curry, who graduated solid on both kick returns and punt returns last year. But you got a guy coming back, Josh Lovings, who does have a kick return for a touchdown. To his credit, had that last year against Kentucky State. And then a guy like Matt Cole, who has some experience as well. And then you look at punt return, Blake Benoist, the guy who could see some action back there. So some veteran leadership back returning kicks for you guys.
Absolutely. At the punt return position, I think Blake Benoist has kind of taken that. Why he's solid. That's he. You're going to get the catch. You're going to get everything that you got. He works his absolute tail off in everything that he does, and great leader, and can't say enough great things about Blake. Matt Cole can be your breakaway speed type guy. He has some very legit fast times, and so I think if he ends up touching the ball, there could be some really, really nice gains out there. But I think you could see either one of them out there as well. At kickoff return, Josh Lovings is coming back. He's kind of that core of that kickoff return unit, and then also Matt Cole back there as well. So I think two guys there that are very good returners, and I've got some young guys that could end up seeing action in Kenneth Garrett and a couple others back there that are solid as well. So really excited for our return game this year.
Coach, that wraps up our special teams preview. Now it's time to get into your thoughts in general, specifically heading into 2018. This is a group we talked about on offense. You've got the experience coming back in 8 starters, a little bit more on the youth side in terms of defense, and a nice mix on special teams. Talk about this group as a whole and what you've seen so far in camp and as you head into the new year.
Well, again, every year is different. It's who's going to step up, who are your leaders, especially in the offseason. And there's been a couple guys that have kind of caught my eye. I'm like, wow, these guys are really doing a nice job of kind of leading by example, grabbing the guy next to them, really wanting more out of McKendree football than what's been done in the past. And you always want to continue to get better. You always want to continue to win more games and continue on that path of greatness. And so my hope is that, this team is going to be like no other, that they will be able to win the close games and be able to kind of continue to push that envelope of, can we be a top 25 team? Can we get in the playoffs? We're close. We're very, very close. And so to be able to put McKendree on the map football-wise at the Division II level is, a goal that all of us have. So obviously we got to take it game by game, and I think the guys have really understood that. That's been our focus, all camp, is really to take it one day at a time and one game at a time and one practice period at a time and one play at a time, and not to go ahead and just look forward, to 5 games down the road, 3 games down the road, 10 games down the road. No more hashtag chasing rings. It's, hey, what's up next, and let's go. And that's, our guys have been very blue collar about it. They've been, hey, let's go to work. So whether it's 110 degrees out there or whether it's a nice 65, we're gonna give it our all and have some fun doing it.
Let's take a look at the schedule for 2018. You look at the non-conference schedule the first 4 weeks of the season. 3 newcomers to the schedule, beginning with your season opener at home against Northern Michigan. The only returning team is Kentucky State, your first road contest on September 8th. And then you have 2 East Coast teams that are in the mix this year. Bowie State, who led Division II in scoring last year, 54 points a game, and then a school like Schwann University. They're both from the same conference and presents a new challenge for the Bearcats.
Absolutely. I think every non-conference game that we have this year is going to be a challenge. You look at it on the first game. First game's always a challenge, because you never know what you're going to see. You can plan and game plan for what they might have done last year, but sometimes they change it up, and you got to be able to adjust and work on the fly a little bit, plus working out the kinks that you may already have still with your team. So, but Northern Michigan coming into our place is a very solid team out of the GLIAC. The GLIAC is well known for having some very, very tough opponents, and so I believe the Wildcats are going to be no different, than a lot of those other ones, that they're going to give you everything they got. It's a very, very tough team coming in here to Lehman Field on Saturday. After that, going on the road to Kentucky State, some of the things you got to look for is the fact that, okay, we beat them last year. Can you get past the mental side of, oh, well, we beat them last year, so we'll beat them again this year. They have a all grass field, okay, so it's one of the few teams out there that doesn't have artificial turf. So can you play on normal grass? It sounds funny, but that's, nowadays no one has regular grass, or not a lot of teams have regular grass anymore. And then going on the road, close to 14 hours, a road trip to Schwann in week 4 is a tough one. But even the week prior at home against Bowie State, like you just addressed, it's got an unbelievable offensive powerhouse, great coaches, great athletes. They do some nice things, and my hope is that the Lehman Field crowd can get into it and give us everything that we got, so that we can kind of finish these 4 games before we head into conference play and to a very, very tough conference. And my hope is, like I said, those first 4 games are raring us to go.
Now we get into the Great Lakes Valley Conference portion of the schedule, and this year it's a new look schedule for the Bearcats in the fact that the opponents and the weeks have been rearranged, but you jump right into the Battle of the State of Illinois first, right off the bat, a Saturday night game at Quincy University, and then back to back to back, the 3 teams that have won the conference each of the last 2 years, Truman State, Southwest Baptist, and Indianapolis, who went through the league undefeated last year. So McKendree's going to get tested early and often.
Absolutely. I think any time that you come off a 14-hour bus trip to Schwann and then have to go right back the next week to play an in-state rivalry in Quincy, I think is always tough. But, my hope is that the guys continue to mature and continue to say, each week's each week, so let's go. And then, like you said, we're coming into the meat of the schedule with Truman State, Southwest Baptist, and UIndy, and like I said before, just keep take each game as they come. Don't get so wrapped up in just looking forward to UIndy just because they won the conference last year. If you do that, you're going to slip. And that's really not what those mature teams are able to do. If they can just take each game as they come, and who knows, by the end of the year, it could be one of the others. I mean, heck, Missouri S&T was picked, in second place, just like us for a preseason poll. So a lot of coaches believe that they're a very good football team. And you know what? I'd have to agree with them. They are a very good football team. So having them on our schedule late in the year at our place, is something else. And then even going on the road to play Lincoln University, the last game of the year at their place. There's no easy games. There's no. This is not an easy ride. So, but that's what's fun about it. The competition and the competitiveness of college football. And I think the players, the coaches, the fans. I mean, they're all waiting for this year to get going. And I know I'm excited to let her rip.
Dan, you alluded to it. Week in and week out in the GLVC, there are no easy weeks. There are no bye weeks. No rest for the weary, so to speak. I mean, you look at each school, they present a unique challenge for the Bearcats, and they've seen it. You've seen it. The results are there throughout the years, and difficult to prepare for, obviously, but you guys have found a way, and I know it's going to be the challenge this year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited.
Coach, we've talked about everything we need to talk about: offense, defense, special teams. Your thoughts on the schedule. What's going to spell success for you in 2018 for this McKendree University football team?
I think it's, did we give everything we got? We did a character versus reputation deal for the players in this fall camp, and really it came down to, how hard are you going to go? And only you know that, your character-wise. And so when I look up at the scoreboard, and not necessarily the points that are given, but did we give everything that we got? And that's really what I'm looking for right there. The wins will come, when you worry about the little things and the details. But can this team continue to persevere through a full 11-game schedule, regardless of how many wins or losses we have? That's what I'm looking for.
Coach, thanks for taking the time to join us. Good luck in 2018.
Appreciate it.
Coach Babcock will join us after each McKendree football game live on the Bearcat Sports Network at glvcsn.com/McKendree. We hope to see you out at the games this season, and don't forget to follow us online at mckbearcats.com.